All right, so I am now recording. Okay, guys, I'm gonna share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. And today I'm inspired by the fact that my mom had a birthday last week and I sent her a birthday card. So I thought I would show you guys how to create a birthday card as well in Photoshop. So I have the final version right here. So this is kind of what I put together. I have some text in here to learn about text. And then I have like some layer styles that we'll look at. We'll look at how to create a collage, and then there's different types of birthday cards that you can make, but this is just the format that I've chosen. So I made a document that's 8 by 10, and I have my background layer here. I have to keep moving, moving you guys around. There we go, that's probably good. I like to always make a copy of my background layer. It doesn't matter in this document because there's nothing on the background layer. And what I was saying earlier, Ms. Cruz, was right here. This allows you to sort for different kinds of layers. So if you sort for like text layers, nothing's gonna show up because I don't have any of those yet. And then you can turn that off with that little red button. So that's what might be the reason that you can't find some of your layers. Okay, other than that, we are going to work with rulers first. If you don't have these rulers displaying along the top and the side, you can go up to View and then turn the rulers on. View rulers. And then we can use this to drag out some guides. So I want to create 4 different boxes that are kind of even. So I'm just going to click inside the ruler and drag down. Now you can see where it says Y, it's telling you like the measurement. So I'm looking for maybe 0.5. And so that shows a blue guide that's not going to print with my document. That's just for me to see. It's not really there. It's like an imaginary guide. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing from the ruler on the left, drag it over to 0.5. And I'm not a perfectionist, so it's probably, 0.49 or whatever, but that's okay. So 0.5, get it close. And then if you drop it and need to move it again, this little cursor means that you can drag it to the right spot. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, 0.5, somewhere in there. And then in the middle, I'm going to go down to where the 4 is, between 4 and 5, there's like a 0.75 or something like that. And on this side too. So this is probably the hardest part, is just getting these little rulers to line up. And I'm just going quick, so these aren't perfect. 0.75. Okay, so now that I have my guides, I can see where to make my little windows, and then we're going to apply a clipping mask. So what I do is grab this, and if you want to say something, you can always raise your hand, and then I think I can unmute you. Okay, so I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool, drag out a selection using those guides, and then I'm going to create a new layer. And then on this layer, I want to fill it with black, just so that I can see it. It doesn't really matter what color, but so right now I have purple. Sure, that'll work. So I'm going to use Option Delete as the keyboard shortcut. Oops, somehow I lost my selection. So let's get that again. And then Option Delete. Now it's purple. Okay, so I want to keep organized in my workspace, so I like to rename my layers. So this is going to be upper left. And then let's make another one. And this layer, we're just going to make that same selection. And then Option Delete. Now on this layer, I'm going to call it upper right. So on and so forth. You can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm creating, I can even drag this one down. Delete. And then the keyboard shortcut for that is Edit Fill. And then you just choose the foreground color. Okay, so this is going to be lower right. And then we have one more. Move this over. And this is lower left. Now, of course, this does not have to be the layout of your birthday card or your graduation card or for whatever event. This is just an example of how to create a collage style. So it could be, you know, 2 big pictures. It could be 6 different pictures arranged differently. So I'm just creating these purple rectangles as like placeholders. Okay, so Option Delete, Command D. So now I have all 4. This one I'm gonna call lower left, LL. And now I'm going to add the photographs. Okay, so the first photograph I'm going to add is going to be File, Place Embedded. So this is if you want to put a photograph into your document. Place Embedded, and then I will choose from those downloads. I like this one, so I'm going to place this first flower picture here. And now, this is pretty cool. So you might want to arrange it where you want it. It's on lower left, so it's going to kind of look like this. So all I'm going to do is hold down the Option key and then click on this line between these 2 layers. So we have the flowers, and then we have the rectangle that we're trying to fill the flowers, or fill with the flowers. So if I hold down Option and click on that line between them, you'll see that it's clipped to this shape right here. So that's pretty cool. I can still move this at this point and like line it up differently because it's just a clipping mask. So this is like a mask, that's what we're seeing through. Okay, so we're gonna do that for all of them. This next one here, we're gonna create a new layer under lower right and File, Place Embedded. I'm gonna choose my next flower here. I think I like these tulips. And arrange it how I want it, and then hold Option and click. Oh, I have to hit Enter first. Option, click, and now it's in place. Okay, so the next one, this is upper right, so I'm going to File, Place Embedded. And there's different ways I can do this. I could add a mask, but I feel like this is the easiest. Let's do this little scenic valley view over here. What was it? Upper right, so over here on this side. And hold Option, click. Oh, that's right. I have to hit Enter to apply the transformation. And then one last one. I know this is kind of redundant. Oops. Upper left is, let's see which picture. Place Embedded. Let's do these red flowers. Here we go. Place it up there, hold Option, and click on the layer beneath it. Oh. There it is. Okay, so Anna, you mentioned wanting to see how to fill the background. So I have this copy of the background layer. I'm just going to go under the gradient tool. Oh, it's already showing. It's the paint bucket. And if this is not displaying, it might be the workspace that you're in. It did this to me just a few minutes ago. So this is under Window, Workspace. I had photography. I switched it to Essentials. You can go back and forth depending on if your like options bar is messed up at the top or if it's having glitches. Just try using a different workspace. Okay, so I have my paint bucket. I have my color here. You can double click and change the color. Maybe we want like a light purple or something. And then you just click and it fills the space. Now it'll also fill, kind of cool, on the picture itself. So it'll fill, this is a smart object, so it's not going to use it. But anyway, if you were to click on parts of the image, it would like fill according to where the color is. So anyway, Now we need some text. If you don't like these guides showing, you can hide them by going View, Clear Guides. So now you're left with just the image of your card. Okay, so text is kind of cool in Photoshop because you can either have it be text that you can edit, or it can be images that you can also edit in different ways. So it kind of depends on what you're trying to do. So you'll grab the text tool, it's the capital letter T, and then click and let go and just start typing. So this font is not really what I want. The options bar at the top allows you to change all different types of features about your image or about your text. So this is your font. Might want something simple. Now there is a website that I would recommend. It's called defont.com and allows you to download text pretty easily and select from text that you wouldn't ordinarily have access to. So if you go to the, I think it's right here, defont.com, you can type in like a keyword. Up here I typed in birthday, and then I liked this one, so I clicked download, and then you just have to go to the downloads folder and click install. So I downloaded this one. It was called Happy Birthday. So now I'm going to search for it in my font list. Okay, so if I select that, you can also double click on the text layer in order to select it. I'm going to go down to birthday. Here's Happy Birthday. And I can resize it. I kind of like the scripted nature of that font. So Command T to resize or edit, transform. Now I want this text to be warped. So I want it to kind of have like a curve to it. So what you can do when you double click on the text layer is up here where it says T that allows you to warp the text. I'm going to use the arc and look at all the different features. So I can arc it, I can move it, Command T to rotate it, place it where I want it to be. Now obviously that color is not going to work, but we'll come back to it later. Okay, so I would recommend having each word on a separate text layer so that you can do different things to them. So choosing the text tool, click once to let go, type in birthday, let's make it the right size, make it a little bigger. I don't know if you guys can hear the crickets behind me, but I've been shopping at this different place and all their crickets sing, whereas PetSmart, those crickets are silent. So it's been kind of nice little, it feels like I'm camping or something in my own living room. Okay, let's see. So we can do the same thing to birthday. We might want to transform it over here, and you can change the color at the top. The arc, this time I want it to bend the opposite direction, kind of like that. And then I could change the color. Something I can see. Okay. Oh, I deleted it. Is it still the same color? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can fill text with a picture. So this is kind of cool. You can use the selection tool called Magic Wand, and this allows you to select based on color. So if I click on one purple pixel, it's going to select all the other purple pixels that are in that document. So now when I have this selected, I can create a new layer, and then I need to go get a picture that I want to fill that with. So I chose this one over here. It's a picture of, I don't know what that kind of flower is, but it's a purple flower. So I'm going to use my selection tool. I'm just creating like a rectangle, and then I'm going to go edit copy and go back to my in process one. I have a layer one here that's empty, there's nothing there. So I'm going to choose, and with Photoshop, you can do anything. There's usually 2 or 3 ways to do anything. So this is just like another version of putting a picture into a selection. So in this case, it's going to be the word birthday. So I'm going to choose edit, and instead of paste, I'm going to come down here to paste special, and under this option I can paste into. So it's going to take the picture that's on my clipboard that I copied, and it's going to place it inside those marching ants. So paste into, what was it asking me? Yeah, so we're going to switch it to RGB, and there it is. So you can see here it's just basically a mask with this picture. If I go to move it at this point, it's only going to move that picture. I can tell that I need it to be bigger, so I can choose Command T, resize that image of the flowers. There we go, and kind of arrange it. Now maybe I want to move the actual word. So over here in the layers menu, I need to click the link in between them, and now those 2 are connected. So I can hide this other birthday, and there is my image. I cannot change this. If I made a spelling error, too bad. There's no way I can go back and like edit that because it's an image. But I can do some cool things like add layer styles. So at the bottom of the layers menu here is FX. So you can add some special effects. And this will make it stand out more from the background because it's getting a little lost in front of those pink flowers. So bevel and emboss is one. Stroke, you can have an outline around it. Gradient overlay is kind of cool. It'll have a gradient. Color overlay would be how you change the color. Outer glow and drop shadow. So I'm just going to start with bevel and emboss. And it shows a preview of what that looks like. That's pretty good. It makes it look kind of 3D. Here are your settings if you want to change any of, like, you know, the size or the soften or the depth, and then click OK. I can see that a lot better, but I can still add some more layer styles if I want. Under FX, go to drop shadow, and this can be for a picture, for text, for any kind of layer or image. If you want a drop shadow, that's where you find it. You can change the color of the shadow. We give it like a dark red or something. So there, it kind of makes all the colors stand out pretty good. So different options here. You can change the distance, size, spread. You just kind of have to play with them and see what it does. Okay. So far so good. That stands out a lot better than it did before. The outer glow is also fun. I'll show that on this image up here. If I turn on auto select, then whatever layer I click on, that's the layer that it jumps to. So now I can move this one around, but I have to be careful because if I click on another one, it'll move the one underneath of it. Okay, so happy. Let's put a gradient on this one. So gradient overlay. Actually, that's kind of a pretty gradient. I can select from a lot of different ones. But basically that's what gradient overlay does. That looks pretty good. Obviously these words are mismatched, but that's okay. For the purpose of the demo. On a real birthday card, you might want them to match. Okay, what else could I try? Let's do an outer glow. So this is kind of the opposite of the drop shadow. It adds like a lighter color around it. So you can change the opacity, the spread. Just to get it kind of stand out. There we go. So those are layer styles. Again, they will work with text. They'll work with images. They add that extra little pizzazz, and they help make things stand out from the layers and images behind them. The other thing I did on my example was I extended it out so that if you were to print your card, you can fold it in half. So to do that, I just kind of slid over here. I grabbed the crop tool and then moved this. I have the rulers still on display here. So if this was 8 by 10, then it should go out to about 16. Close enough. Okay, hit enter. And then obviously this needs a color. So we could try our paint bucket, switch it to white, and just, oh, we need a new layer. And then just click, whoops, filled everything. So we might want to drag this down so it's at the bottom. There it goes. So the layer order matters. You can always drag them up or down to change what's on top of what. Okay, and then I have a signature that I saved as a brush. I think I showed how to do that in one of the other tutorials. So if you have that still, you can sign your card digitally. So I grab the brush tool up here under the brush preset picker. This is where you change the size and the edges of your brush. Right here is my signature brush. So let's get a color that's going to show up. I'm going to use like a dark violet because it's kind of my theme color. And then I'm going to create a new layer at the top because I want this to be on top of everything else. So layer 4, I might call it name or something that I can recognize. Otherwise, you can tell what's on a certain layer by hiding it. So you turn it off and on, and you can see what's on that layer. Okay, so on the name layer, I'm just going to click a couple of times. And the nice thing about having a separate layer for this is I can move it around. Whoops, I have to make sure I'm not on auto select. And then I can just kind of move it separate from what's behind it. Otherwise, if I just put it right on that white square, the white square would move with it. So it's on a transparent layer. Okay, the other thing I did in my other version was I added like a little extra flower to my signature. I mean, you don't have to do that. That was just something else that I thought would make it look nice and make it stand out, but you could just have your signature or you could put the date on there. So if you click with the text tool, it'll automatically make a new layer. 2020. That looks pretty good. I even like the color. Put it in the middle, and there you go. So when you print this, you can fold it in half, and then it's just going to be a blank card on the inside. It's a little bit more involved to print double-sided cards, but it can be done particularly in like Microsoft Word or in Illustrator. So you could create it in Photoshop first and then take it over there to print it. Okay, I'm going to unmute everyone in case you have any questions. Oh, I don't think I can because you muted yourself. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand, let me know. You can send me an email anytime. And that's that for the Photoshop tutorial.
All right, where's the rest of us?
Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
What is it? Okay, we got 3 minutes. Whew, did that pretty close. Oh, it's still recording. See